President Donald Trump attempted to trap Canada. He believed he could intimidate a nation of 40 million individuals. He figured he could handle them precisely like he deals with a nearby builder he declines to compensate. Accounts indicate that in a private session, Trump bent over a substantial oak desk. He stared directly at Canada's Prime Minister, Mark Carney, and referred to him as governor straight to his expression. It wasn't an accidental remark. It was a tool, a highly intentional, highly conceited suggestion that Donald Trump views Canada as merely the 51st U.S. state. He anticipated Carney to become furious. He expected him to lose composure. He desired a dramatic TV scene. But Mark Carney didn't flinch. He didn't shout. He didn't head to social platforms at 3 a.m. to share a furious outburst. He simply gazed back. He acknowledged it. And then he returned to Ottawa, and he subtly activated a mechanism that Washington had entirely overlooked. Now, the effects of that lone affront are extending through the American Northeast. The harm is progressing live. In the coming moments, I am going to reveal precisely what altered. I will demonstrate who freaked out initially, and I will clarify why this precise instant might affect your finances, your seasonal heating costs, and your local area prior to month's close. You are observing history transform, and you are seeing an American leader recognize he has initiated a conflict he can't succeed in. Here is what you're not hearing regarding the enormous trade conflict overwhelming your updates. Last week, in those secluded rooms, the U.S. leadership issued a demand. They warned of duties on all items, a complete financial embargo. Trump required full adherence. He sought fresh regulations on frontier protection. He sought increased military expenditures. He sought commercial advantages that greatly benefit the United States. He desires the guidelines revised, and he wants Canada to cover the cost. For Trump believed he possessed every advantage. He constantly believes he possesses every advantage. He presumed Canada would plead for leniency. He presumed they would yield. But Mark Carney isn't a conventional leader. Carney managed the Bank of Canada. He managed the Bank of England. He is a monetary top hunter who comprehends precisely how international frameworks truly function. He knows the locations of the hidden connections. He grasps the infrastructure of the worldwide economy superior to nearly anybody on the planet. So when Trump offended him, Carney didn't squander moments on a media briefing. Instead, 48 hours afterward, the illumination wavered in New England. Not actually, not at this point. But in the power sectors, a huge resounding warning signal sounded. The Canadian authorities discreetly declared a tactical internal assessment of all hydroelectric and natural gas shipments. They employed extremely courteous, extremely administrative phrasing. They referenced national power safety. They referenced the pressure on their own network from approaching cold weather events. But the schedule was utterly obvious. It was a warning shot directly toward the U.S. economy. Canada delivers enormous quantities of electricity to New York and New England. We are discussing the essential energy that maintains Boston operational, the electricity that sustains Wall Street computers active, the warmth that prevents millions of Americans from chilling when the weather plummets. Trump believed duties were the supreme tool. He overlooked that you can't operate a U.S. economy without light. Let's examine the evidence, since the figures narrate a tale that the White House is frantically attempting to conceal from you now. Evidence item 1, the delivery cables. Examine a chart of the American Northeast. New York and New England are extensively connected to the Canadian network. They are completely reliant on it. For years, these regions have brought in inexpensive, eco-friendly hydro energy from areas like Quebec. The liquid moves via enormous Canadian barriers, rotates the generators, and transmits power southward over the frontier, constantly, around the clock, every day. In a typical year, Canada offers the backup energy for the East Coast. When a huge cold snap strikes Massachusetts or a hot spell scorches Manhattan, Canadian power rushes over the frontier to prevent the U.S. setup from failing. Now observe what Carney's administration recently did. They didn't sever the link. That would breach agreements. That would appear as a hostile action. Carney is too clever for that. Instead, they simply began rigorously applying current operational boundaries. They focused on Canadian residents. They informed the network managers Apologies, we must ensure Montreal and Toronto are handled initially. You only receive the remainder. Evidence item 2, the sector alarm. The very instant Ottawa revealed this assessment, the power sectors responded. Natural gas projections in the U.S. Northeast surged sharply. The individuals who oversee the New England Energy Network, the workers whose sole duty is to ensure your illumination activates when you toggle the control, began dispatching immediate distressed notices. They understand the reality. If Canada even marginally reduces the energy stream, the U.S. network faces serious issues. America must abruptly depend on costly, polluting, obsolete oil and gas facilities to compensate. These are facilities that require hours to activate, facilities that demand a tremendous amount to operate. Bulk electricity rates increased right away. And guess who covers that? You do. It appears on your service statement. It is a concealed levy resulting straight from Donald Trump's overconfidence. Evidence item 3, the subtle urgency in Washington. The recordings captured Trump exiting the Oval Office the day before. A journalist yelled an inquiry about the New England Energy Network. Trump gestured dismissively. He dismissed it. He labeled it false reporting. He boldly stated that America possesses the best energy globally and requires nothing from anyone. But privately, insiders assert it is total disorder. State leaders are alarmed. The leader of Massachusetts and the leader of New York are abruptly overwhelming the communication channels. But here is the insane aspect. They are not contacting the White House. They realize Trump won't assist them. They realize Trump doesn't even comprehend the issue. They are contacting Mark Carney because they realize Trump's duty warnings just provided Canada the ideal justification to restrict the American energy provision. And they are pleading with Canada not to close the valve. This is precisely why Trump is forfeiting command of the storyline and he is forfeiting command of the circumstances. Trump's whole strategy depends on superior strength. He only possesses one mode. He intensifies, he warns, he attempts to generate such extensive disorder and such extensive commotion that the opposing party merely surrenders to eliminate the discomfort. He applied it with the commercial pacts. He applied it with the frontier. But that approach only succeeds if the opposing party lacks influence. It only succeeds if you are intimidating someone lesser and frailer who lacks means to retaliate. Trump warned of enormous duties. He believed Canada would crumble. Instead, the influence entirely reversed. Observe the sequence of events. It is occurring directly before you. He warns of duties. Immediately, businesses halt their commitments in the U.S. Midwest. Provision networks become anxious. Distribution supervisors examine the frontier and they freak out. They cease requesting components. Production facilities decelerate. Then Canada indicates a reduction in energy shipments. Now service providers in the U.S. are alerting about enormous cost increases. Costs climb, citizens experience it, the economy trembles. Trump is currently ensnared by his own methods. He can't retreat without appearing feeble to his supporters. He can't advance without elevating the expense of existence for his own citizens and possibly triggering outages on the East Coast. When you initiate a conflict with your largest, most interconnected commercial associate, you don't merely injure them, you strike yourself in the visage. And the whole globe is observing this occur. Europe is observing. China is observing. They witness an American leader who is totally responsive. They witness a figure who hurls fits, a president who offends his nearest partners to gain inexpensive acclaim on broadcast, but possesses no genuine strategy for the consequences. Trump requires submission. But you can't require submission from an energy network. You can't intimidate a unit of power. You can't penalize cold climate. He presumed Canada was feeble because they are courteous. He presumed they would yield. He didn't recognize that the authority balance had entirely changed beneath him. He believed he was engaging in checkers. Mark Carney is engaging in international chess. This leads us to Mark Carney. If you desire to comprehend why Washington is so disturbed currently, you must examine how Carney functions. He doesn't battle like Trump battles. Trump employs a heavy mallet. He flails uncontrollably. He destroys objects merely to listen to the fragments break. Carney employs a surgical blade. He is accurate. He is methodical. Carney is collected. He is internationally linked. When he addresses the World Economic Forum, the complete monetary sphere halts and records details. When he convenes with European figures, they regard him as an equal. They admire his intelligence. Carney converts stress into advantage. When Trump labeled him governor, Carney didn't rush to the media to grumble about his injured emotions. He didn't weep about it. He didn't compose a nasty message. He proceeded to action. He utilized the frameworks. He utilized the sectors. Carney comprehends something essential about the 21st century that Trump entirely overlooks. Authority isn't merely about the scale of your armed forces any longer. Authority is about provision networks. It is about vital resources. It is about clean water. It is about energy movements. Canada possesses precisely what the United States urgently requires to endure: oil, natural gas, uranium, hydroelectricity. By softly applying the restraints on the energy network, Carney delivered a communication that every Wall Street financier and every New England leader grasped immediately. The communication was straightforward, unspoken, and lethal. We are an independent country. We are not your 51st state. We are the nation maintaining your computers operational. We are the nation maintaining your residences heated. Handle us with dignity or shiver. It is a superior lesson in extended strategy. Carney is establishing profound reliability with international sectors currently. He is demonstrating to the globe that Canada is a steady, logical, extremely capable participant handling an unpredictable, spontaneous, adjacent nation. He is establishing alliances. While Trump separates America and constructs barriers, Carney is discreetly finalizing commercial agreements in Europe and Asia. He is broadening Canada's assets. Carney is confirming that you don't need to yell to be noticed. You simply need to possess the controls to the electrical panel. So, what does this signify for you? You could be located in Ohio or Texas or Florida, assuming this doesn't concern you. But even if you don't concern yourself with Canada, Canada impacts your existence every single day. It impacts your food expenses. It impacts the fuel in your vehicle. It impacts the wood that constructed your dwelling. And currently, it is directly impacting the reliability of the American energy network. We are observing history transform live. For 100 years, the connection between the United States and Canada was the most steady, unexciting collaboration on Earth. It was the lengthiest unprotected frontier globally. Two enormous economies connected so firmly you couldn't distinguish where one concluded and the other commenced. That confidence has vanished. Trump demolished it. He ruined it for a brief clip. He informed the globe that America possesses no lasting companions, only subjects to be utilized. And the outcome, America is turning perilously separated. When the energy costs increase in New York this cold season, that is the direct expense of Trump's international approach. When production decelerates in Michigan because vehicle components are delayed at the Windsor-Detroit frontier, that is the direct expense of the America First plan. It turns out America First rapidly transforms into America Isolated. Carney didn't elevate his tone. He elevated the expense of disregarding Canada. He revealed the supreme deception. Trump required complete capitulation, and the globe merely retreated and observed Trump stumble over his own footwear ties. This is an enormous adjustment. The United States used to be the essential country. Now, under Trump, it is turning into the undependable country, and Carney's Canada is entering the gap, appearing like the mature figure in the space. So where does this proceed from here? The setup is arranged, the elements are shifting, and the following few actions are totally vital. Here is what occurs next. There are three routes ahead. Situation A, the subtle retreat. This is the most probable result, even if it transpires entirely away from public view. The service corporations, the enormous technology companies who require computer energy, and the alarmed state leaders will apply such strong internal stress on the White House that Trump must yield. He will discreetly exclude Canadian energy and essential products from his duty warnings. He will appear on broadcast and announce an enormous landmark triumph. He will deceive and claim Canada capitulated. But documented in reality, Carney succeeds. The energy continues streaming, but the harm to the connection is lasting. Canada succeeds the confrontation. Situation B, the intensification. This is the extremely risky route. Trump senses embarrassed. He recognizes his deception was challenged and his pride can't manage it. He increases efforts. He commands enormous delayed frontier checks, reducing billions of dollars of commerce to a total halt. Vehicles accumulate for distances. Carney replies by truly stopping the hydro shipments. He references a crisis network deficit in Quebec. Costs escalate in the U.S. Northeast. Intermittent outages strike Boston amid a cold season chill. Individuals endure. The trade conflict turns into a complete, severe, life-endangering financial emergency. Situation C, the unforeseen turnaround. The U.S. judiciary intervenes to halt the insanity. We already recognize the judiciary is examining the validity of Trump creating these widespread duties spontaneously. If a national magistrate invalidates Trump's administrative directives, the instant emergency disappears. The duties disappear, but the fundamental strain persists. Canada will never regard the United States identically again. They have witnessed the threat in the storage. They will swiftly speed up their shift to Europe and Asia. They will ensure they never depend completely on the U.S. sector again. This is the section where typical figures generally soothe it. They initiate contact. They reduce tensions. But Trump doesn't perform soothing. He only understands how to force. But this occasion, he just forced against a barrier that is forcing back. And that barrier manages the power. The former guidelines are obsolete. Washington believed it could impose conditions on its northern adjacent forever. They believed Canada would always merely grin and accept it. Mark Carney just demonstrated them incorrect, and he didn't even need to elevate his tone to achieve it. He just presented them the calculations. Donald Trump desired a battle of statements. Canada provided a document, and they provided the deactivation control to the energy network. Do you believe Carney is merely safeguarding Canada's independence, or do you believe he is intentionally provoking Trump to exaggerate and ruin his own economy? Share your opinion in the responses below. I want to learn what you believe. And press subscribe if you desire the true narrative, the following development, and the genuine details before the standard reports even align. Stay alert, stay ready, because this is far from